Before getting started into the mini-series about Chartbrew and Strapi, I thought I would show how it is up and running currently in one of my development environments. So here on the screen on the right, you can see the Strapi admin panel that is running, and I've selected the Marketplace option. I check in here frequently to look for really awesome plugins, and I had found this Chartbrew plugin recently. So I went ahead and installed it and have experimented with it. And during the mini series, I'm going to walk through the steps that I took in order to get it up and running on a Windows 10 development computer. If I click on the plugins option here in my admin panel, you can see the different plugins that are installed, and also Chartbrew is listed here. And as it says, explore your Strapi data with Chartbrew visualizations. You can actually do more than that with it. If you go to your Chartbrew dashboard and log into that, you can create other APIs or link to other APIs and show that data here inside of your dashboard. And then the last screen is the actual Chartbrew dashboard. If you wanted to create new visualizations, you can click on this button here, and that will pull up a screen which I'll show in just a minute. So here are some dashboards or visualizations that I've created with some additional data from my system here. And there's just so many features that you can do or choose from in the Chartbrew dashboard. We'll get to that in other videos. Next, as you can see here on the screen, there are some additional windows. My command prompt here shows the different versions of some tools that I have installed in order to accomplish having the Chartbrew plugin running inside of a Strapi implementation. And behind that is some source code with the default parameters for the Chartbrew plugin that are needed, and again, we'll be covering those. So if we take a look, kind of step back a little bit and say, well, what is Strapi? If you've never worked with it before, it is really awesome. It's one of my most favorite tools, very advanced, headless CMS, content management system, but it's much more than that. You can read about it on their website. And then the Chartbrew homepage also has tons of great information on it about what you can do with their tools. And as I've done here, I've implemented it inside of my own environment. So like a self-hosted setup, and we'll also be deploying it into the cloud, as you'll see in other videos. And if you don't want to do all of that, you can use their hosting service. Like you can see a pricing page here, and by using their service, it does make it considerably easier. However, I did choose the self-hosting option, which is what we'll be looking at. Lastly, I need to mention NVM for Windows, and this is a Windows 10 development computer system, and so I recommend using NVM for many reasons, and that is NVM for Windows. As they mention here, this is not the same thing as NVM. The original NVM is a completely separate project for the Mac and for Linux, so this NVM for Windows is good for Windows developers, and I do most of my development on a Windows 10 machine currently. If you scroll down their page, you can see different information about this NVM. If you've never used it, you should look into using it. There are just so many really good and useful options for this NVM for Windows. Depending if you're supporting different applications that use different versions of Node, then that is one of the main reasons. So you can easily switch between the different versions of Node depending on what application is needed or what support is needed for the application, like different versions of Node and different versions of Yarn, the package manager, and so forth. So it can be incredibly helpful to install this NVM for Windows. If you don't do it, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to try and switch between versions. So I would just recommend go ahead and install NVM for Windows if you haven't done it before. And I'll scroll through this page briefly. There is a installer here, as you can see. You can click on that and basically it walks you through and installs it on your system. And then they go on to mention here, reinstall any global utilities like the Yarn package manager. So here you can see there's a command that says NVM use 14.0.0. So that would be using a specific version of Node that you had previously installed with this tool. And then it goes on to say, okay, npm install globally the Yarn package manager. And then if you wanted to install a different version of Node, you would say, or use a different version of Node, nvm use 12.0.1. And then you would install the Yarn tools into that environment. So you're creating these separate environments that the software and Windows keep track of behind the scenes for you. And there's a gotcha here. Please note that any global npm modules you may have installed are not shared between the various versions of Node.js you've just installed. Additionally, some npm modules may not be supported in the version of Node you're using, so be aware of your environment as you work. I also wanted to show one other screen here in this section. If I click on the Create New Visualizations button, you can see here that it brings up a table or a list of different collection types that you have inside of your Strapi database or Strapi admin panel, like what you're seeing here on the right side of the screen. So you can see a list of all of the different object types or collection types that I have in Strapi. So by clicking on one of these, you will be able to quickly work on and create different data visualizations. But we'll get into that in a further video. I just wanted to point out that's what this screen looks like. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content.